So now we've talked about the circuits, a wee bit about them. We'll talk now about the shakers, bakers, and chasers, the teams and the drivers. Obviously, we'll start from the bottom all the way up to the top. So here we have the HRT. We have the Marussia Cosworth team. Last year they actually were Marussia Virgin F1, so they've dropped Virgin and there's just now a Marussia team, Marussia F1. This is to do because I think they're financially backed quite a bit. The major shareholders are Russian, so I think that's what the name is for. They've kept on Timo Glock from last year, and who's on the left there, he's a German, he's 29, he's got 3 podiums out of 74 race starts, and they've actually got the new guy in the right. He's French. It's Charles Peak or Peck, 22. He's French. I'm sorry if I pronounced that wrong. They've taken him from GP2. No idea how well they're going to do this team. They actually failed their crash tests last month, and they actually couldn't take part in the pre-season testing. So because of that, the first time they'll actually air this year's car will be actually next week in Australia. So not a lot is expected of them. They're expected to be taking up certainly the bottom half of the grid, very much so. Here we have HRT. This is their 3rd year, and they've signed Narine Kenyan, Indian, and Pedro de Rosa. I pronounced his name wrong, sorry, probably. Here is the Indian guy, Narine. He's actually 35. He's actually younger of the two. Pedro de Rosa is 41, and they actually between the two of them, they're actually the oldest drivers lineup this year. He's been in and out of F1 since 2005, and he's got 27 race starts to his name with 5 points. De La Rosa, he's the Spaniard. He's been in F1 in and out since 99, the late 90s, since Arrows and all that. I think it was actually 98, 97, sorry. He's got 86 starts to his name, but only the one podium. I can't remember who that was for again, sorry. Here we have the Caterham Renault team. They have changed their name. They were Lotus last year. They were Team Lotus last year. They now changed to Caterham Renault. And only last month, or in January, whatever it was, they replaced Jarno Trulli with Vitaly Pechkov, the Russian, who used to drive for Renault. He's 27. Came into F1 in 2010, and he, from the 38 starts, he's got 1 podium to his name. Good driver, good potential. Given the right car, he could certainly go for a race win. And his one with a race win is Heikki Kovalainen. He's Finnish, 30 years of age. He's been F1 since 2004, and out of the 89 race starts, he's got 1 race win to his name, and that was in Hungary in 2008 when he was driving for the McLaren Mercedes team. Here we have the Williams team. Last season was their worst season by their own standards. They only picked up 5 points after having such a strong pre-season testing as well. Just goes to show you, when you have a strong pre-season testing, doesn't mean you're gonna have a strong season. They reverted back to the Renault engines this year for 2012 and 2013, with the option of being for a further year, depending on what changes the regulations are going to make in 2014. They had the Renault engines from 1989 to 1997, when they were the most successful they ever were, with 4 World Drivers' Championships and 5 Constructors' Championships. Their driver change has been simply a Brazilian change, with Bruno Senna on the right there, Ayrton Senna's young nephew, replacing Rubens Barrichello. Bruno has had 2 points to his 26 race starts, and Pastor Manorano on the left there. He's a year younger at 27 from Venezuela. His first season last year, his debut season, he only gained 1 point. Obviously they've got hope in this season won't be so bad for them. They can't be, you would think anyway. Here we have the Toro Rosso team, which is just basically the youth team of Red Bull. This is where they just test out the young drivers, and just a youth setup really for Red Bull. They're powered by the Ferrari engine, Toro Rosso, and the 2 young drivers this year is Daniel Ricciardo from Australia. Sorry I pronounced it wrong again. He's 22 and he had 11 races last year. And the rookie is Jean-Éric Verguenin. Probably definitely pronounced that one wrong. He's French and he's a year younger at 21. And he was in the Abu Dhabi Young Driver Test race at the end of last season in November 2011. He was the rookie that made he was driving the Red Bull, and he was actually the one that impressed most of the critics. Quite an important year this for those 2 drivers, because a lot of people expect Mark Webber to leave Red Bull at the end of this season, and with this being the Red Bull sort of like youth team, they were looking at maybe these 2 drivers to maybe step up to the plate, and if either of them impress, there was certainly a good chance to get promoted to that second seat if Webber does decide to leave Red Bull at the end of this year. Here we have the Sabia Ferrari team. They had a good actually first half of last year. They were quite solid, and all of a sudden, but then the second half they were quite poor. They have kept the same drivers. Camus Kobayashi, 25-year-old Japanese driver who made his debut in Brazil in 2009. He's got 65 points to his 40 race starts, which is quite impressive if he hasn't done for strong teams. And Sergio Perez, he's 3 years younger and from Mexico. He's got 14 points in his debut season last year, and he had to miss 2 races due to a crash, and I believe that was in Canada if I remember rightly, in that famous race that many describe still as like one of the greatest races of all time. Here we have the Force India Mercedes team. Of all the bottom half of the table, they were probably the strongest. Where they came 6th out of the 12. They were quite quick and consistent, and they had the experience with Adrian Sutil and also like the rookie of the year, Paul di Resta, who's on the right there. But this year they'll be certainly looking to up their game. Even though still had a good season, like better than di Resta, he's been replaced now with the younger Nico Hülkenberg, 24-year-old German, who actually was a Williams driver in 2010, and actually got pole in Brazil. Even though he finished the race 8th in the end, the last Williams driver to get pole, and for some reason Frank Williams didn't keep him on, which was quite bizarre. So he went to be a test driver for Force India last year, and he's got his chance this year, replacing Adrian Sutil, who is out of F1 at the moment. Paul di Resta as well on the right there. He's the British driver, a year older at 25. He is 27 points last year in his 19 races, which is quite impressive. Not just that amount of points he got, but also his style of racing impressed quite a lot of people. quite similar to Jenson Button. In fact, some may say